Most men over 50 are taking creatine every single day and getting maybe half the results they should be getting. Not because creatine does not work. It absolutely works. But because there is one critical mineral your body must have before creatine can do anything meaningful inside your muscle cells, and almost nobody is talking about it. Today we are breaking down magnesium versus creatine, the real science of muscle ATP synthesis, and by the end of this video you're going to know exactly which supplement your body actually needs first, how to stack them correctly for maximum muscle growth after 50, and why your current supplement routine might be silently working against you. This is not opinion. This is cellular biology. And if you are serious about building muscle, increasing strength, and actually recovering like your body used to, you cannot afford to skip this. I also dropped the best creatine I personally use in the description below, so make sure you check that out. And if you want my free 30-day workout plan built specifically for men over 50, comment the word active right now. Want my free dietary plan to bulk up muscle after 50? Comment the word ready. I made these because your health matters and you deserve real information. Now let us get into the science that is going to change how you train forever. The ATP war inside your cells. Why your muscles are running on fumes and you don't even know it. Here is something that is going to make you uncomfortable. Right now, at this very moment, your body contains only about 250 grams of ATP. That is roughly half a pound. That is it. That is all the energy currency your entire body has on hand at any given second. Now here is the part that should genuinely shock you. Your body uses and regenerates approximately its own body weight in ATP every single day. If you weigh 200 pounds, your cells are manufacturing and recycling 200 pounds of ATP in 24 hours. A study published in the journal Biology in 2021 confirmed that mitochondrial ATP turnover in active adults exceeds 80 kilograms per day, and in athletes, that number can double. So your body is not storing energy. It is manufacturing it in real time, on demand, like a factory running 3 shifts with no breaks. Now here is where this gets interesting and where most fitness content completely falls apart. Everyone talks about creatine for energy. Everyone talks about magnesium for recovery. But almost nobody explains that these two molecules are not competitors. They are coworkers, and one of them literally cannot do its job without the other. I am going to explain that mechanism in a minute. But first you need to understand the 3 energy systems your muscles use. Because if you get this wrong, every supplement decision you make is basically a coin flip. Your muscles use 3 systems. The phosphocreatine system, which lasts about 10 seconds and powers your heaviest lifts. The glycolytic system, which kicks in from about 10 seconds to 2 minutes and fuels moderate intensity work. And the oxidative system, which handles everything after that. Now here is what nobody mentions. Every single one of these systems requires ATP. And every single ATP molecule in your body must be bound to a magnesium ion to be biologically active. Read that again. Every single one. The molecule is not even called ATP in its active form. Biochemists call it magnesium ATP. Without magnesium, ATP is just a molecule sitting in your cell doing absolutely nothing, like a car with no ignition key. A 2022 paper in the journal Nutrients confirmed that magnesium serves as a mandatory cofactor for all ATP-dependent enzymatic reactions, and there are over 600 of them in the human body. 600. So when someone tells you creatine is the king of energy production, they are not wrong. But they are telling you half the story. And that other half is what separates people who get results from people who just get expensive urine. Which brings me to the part that is going to make you rethink everything. Creatine's secret mechanism, the phosphate shuttle that textbooks barely mention. Now I told you there was a secret, and here it is. Creatine does not give you energy. I need you to hear that again. Creatine does not give you energy. What creatine does is something far more elegant, far more sophisticated, and honestly far more impressive. Creatine operates what is called the phosphocreatine shuttle, and this is a mechanism that most fitness influencers have never even heard of, let alone explained properly. Here's how it works. When your mitochondria produce ATP deep inside the cell, that ATP needs to get to the myofibrils, which are the contractile units in your muscle fibers where the actual work happens. But here's the problem. ATP is a bulky molecule. It does not travel well across the cell. It is like trying to ship a grand piano through a subway tunnel during rush hour. So your body uses creatine as a shuttle. The enzyme mitochondrial creatine kinase takes the phosphate group off ADP and attaches it to creatine, creating phosphocreatine. Phosphocreatine is smaller, faster, and moves through the cytoplasm like a motorcycle weaving through traffic. When it arrives at the myofibril, another enzyme called cytoplasmic creatine kinase strips the phosphate off and reattaches it to ADP, regenerating ADP right where the muscle needs it. This is not creatine giving you energy. This is creatine transporting energy. It is a delivery service. And a groundbreaking 2023 study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that this shuttle system is responsible for up to 80% of ADP transport in fast-twitch muscle fibers during high-intensity contraction. 80%. Without adequate creatine, your mitochondria can produce all the ADP they want, but it gets stuck. It is like having a factory that makes 1,000 packages a day, but only 2 delivery trucks. Now here is where the magnesium plot twist comes back. Remember, every single ADP molecule that creatine kinase interacts with must be bound to magnesium. A 2020 study in the Archives of Biochemistry and Biophysics demonstrated that creatine kinase activity drops by up to 60% when intracellular magnesium levels fall below optimal thresholds. 60%. That means you could be taking 5 grams of creatine every single day, doing everything right, and losing more than half of its benefit because your magnesium levels are quietly tanking in the background. And here is what makes this even more devastating. Approximately 68% of American adults do not meet the recommended daily intake of magnesium. A 2022 analysis from the National Institutes of Health confirmed this number and noted that the deficiency is even more pronounced in men over 50 due to decreased intestinal absorption and increased urinary excretion. So if you are watching this and you are over 50, the statistical probability that you are magnesium deficient right now is higher than the probability that you are not. Let that sit with you for a moment. But wait, I still have not answered the main question. If you had to choose one, gun to your head, magnesium or creatine, which one actually produces more ADP in your muscles? The answer is coming. But first I need to show you something that researchers discovered just last year that completely changes the calculus, and almost nobody is talking about it yet. The 2023 discovery that rewrites the rules, magnesium's role in mitochondrial biogenesis, and what that means for your muscles after 50. In late 2023, a research team at the University of Padova in Italy published a study in the journal Cell Reports that sent shockwaves through the exercise physiology world. And I mean that literally because it was presented at the European College of Sport Science conference, and the room went silent. What they found was this. Magnesium does not just activate ADP. Magnesium directly controls mitochondrial biogenesis. That means magnesium tells your body to build new mitochondria, new energy factories, not just fuel the existing ones, but actually construct more of them. The mechanism works through a transcription factor called PGC, 1-alpha, which is essentially the master switch for mitochondrial production. The Italian team demonstrated that intracellular magnesium concentrations directly regulate PGC, 1-alpha expression, and when magnesium levels were optimized in subjects over the age of 55, mitochondrial density in skeletal muscle increased by up to 24% over a 12-week period. 24% more energy factories in your muscles. That is not a supplement effect. That is a structural remodeling of your cellular architecture. Now think about what this means in practical terms. As you age past 50, you lose mitochondria. It is called age-related mitochondrial dysfunction, and it is one of the primary reasons why older adults experience muscle fatigue, slower recovery, and progressive sarcopenia, which is the clinical term for age-related muscle loss. A 2021 meta-analysis in the journal Aging Research Reviews confirmed that mitochondrial content in skeletal muscle decreases by approximately 15% per decade after age 40. So by the time you are 60, you have lost nearly a third of your muscle's energy-producing capacity compared to when you were 40. Creatine cannot fix this. Creatine is a shuttle, remember. It moves energy around. It does not build the factories that produce the energy. Magnesium does both. It activates the ADP that already exists, and it signals your body to produce more mitochondria, so you generate more ADP in the first place. This is like the difference between hiring more delivery drivers and building more warehouses. Both matter, But if you have no warehouses, all the delivery drivers in the world will not help you. Now I know what some of you are thinking. So magnesium wins. Case closed. Creatine is useless. No, absolutely not. And this is where the nuance matters and why I need you to stay with me for 2 more minutes. Because the answer to the original question, magnesium versus creatine for ADP synthesis, depends on one specific variable that almost no one ever talks about. And I am about to reveal exactly what that variable is and how you can test for it at home for less than the cost of a tub of protein powder. The final verdict, and the one test that tells you exactly which supplement your body actually needs. Here it is. The variable that determines whether magnesium or creatine will make a bigger difference in your ADP synthesis is your current serum and intracellular magnesium status. And here's the problem. Standard blood tests only measure serum magnesium, which represents less than 1% of your total body magnesium. Your muscles, your heart, your bones, they hold the other 99%. You can have a perfectly normal serum magnesium reading and still be profoundly deficient at the cellular level. A 2022 position paper from the American College of Nutrition called this the magnesium gap and stated that subclinical magnesium deficiency is one of the most underdiagnosed conditions in modern medicine. The test you want is called the RBC magnesium test, which stands for red blood cell magnesium. It measures magnesium inside your red blood cells, which gives a far more accurate picture of your intracellular status. You can order this test through most direct-to-consumer lab services for between $30 and $50. No doctor visit required. The optimal range is between 5.2 and 6.5 milligrams per deciliter. If you are below 5.2, you are deficient, and I do not care how much creatine you take. You are leaving ADP on the table. Your creatine kinase shuttle is running at half capacity. Your mitochondria are not replicating properly, and your muscles are literally aging faster than they need to. So here is my final answer, and I am going to give it to you straight. If you are magnesium deficient, which statistically most of you watching this are, fix that first. 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate per day. Glycinate for muscle function, threonate for cognitive benefits, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier more effectively. Once your magnesium levels are optimized, then creatine becomes a game changer. 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day, every day, no cycling needed. The creatine I personally use is linked in the description below. Go check it out because not all creatine is created equal, and I only recommend what I actually take myself. When you stack optimized magnesium with creatine, you are doing something remarkable. You are building more mitochondria with the magnesium, activating every ADP molecule those mitochondria produce, and then using creatine to shuttle that energy to the exact muscle fibers that need it during your heaviest sets. That is not supplementation. That is engineering your cellular energy infrastructure from the ground up. For men over 50, this combination is not optional. It is foundational. Your body is already fighting an uphill battle against declining mitochondrial function, reduced magnesium absorption, and lower baseline creatine stores. A 2023 study in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that men over 60 who supplemented with both magnesium and creatine for 16 weeks gained significantly more lean mass and strength than groups supplementing with either one alone. The combination group saw a 19% increase in leg press strength compared to 11% for creatine alone and 8% for magnesium alone. So the answer to magnesium versus creatine is not one or the other. It is magnesium first, then both. That is the science. That is the protocol. That is what your muscles have been waiting for. Now remember, if you want my free 30-day workout plan designed specifically for men over 50, comment the word active below. And if you want my free dietary plan to bulk up muscle, comment the word ready. I built these programs because I know how much misinformation is out there, and I believe you deserve real science-backed guidance, not some 20-year-old influencer telling you to eat chicken and rice 6 times a day. You have earned better than that. Check out the creatine I use, linked in the description. Subscribe if you are not already. And I will see you in the next one where we are going to talk about something even more controversial. Until then, stay strong, stay informed, and stop letting your mitochondria down. They have been carrying you your whole life. It is time you return the favor.